Today we're here to talk about why micro guns suck. Why might you want one, and what are their obvious downsides to having one? There's been some recent surge in popularity of micro guns, subcompact guns, especially like single stack guns like the p365 that just came out. So much hype. Oh my god, it's so small, this is so awesome. Never in guns is smaller awesome. It's not. Smaller lends to less control, less reliability. It's just more recoil. It's just less efficient in general. You go from rifles where you have lots of control. You have both hands, a shoulder, a cheek, 3-4 points of contact. Now we need to get smaller because we want to carry, so now we carry a handgun. And now we only have 2 points of contact. Things are getting smaller, less control, they're harder to shoot, a little bit less reliable. Now we're taking the handgun and making it even smaller for no reason. Now you have problems operating the gun mechanically because it's too small for your hands. These guns are too small for an adult male. That can be proven very easily is because of something like this. The designers of these guns understand these guns are too small for an adult male's hands because they include pinky extensions with the gun, because the gun is too small to hold your entire hand. When you are holding a gun, you want the most control over that firearm as you possibly can. So now, by buying a micro subcompact gun, you have now voluntarily giving up control that you could have otherwise had with a larger gun. So now you have to make up for that with perhaps specific techniques, with reloading, with your grip, and it's never going to be as efficient as if you put that time into handling a gun that was actually meant for like shooting and designed for shooting. These aren't designed for shooting, they're designed to be small. That's a very important differentiation between like a normal size, what you would call a fighting pistol, and these. These were not meant to be fought with. They're not meant to shoot efficiently and effectively. They're meant as like a gimmick to be really small to concealed carry markets. Now, when you do buy one of these, like I said, they're too small for your hand. And now let me show you what I mean with demonstrating with this Glock 43. This is a very popular gun. I obviously own one. I've owned 2 of them, and as a matter of fact. Out of all the guns that I own, this is the one gun that I own specifically as a tool. Like, I don't like it at all. There's nothing about it that I particularly like. It is the correct size with the correct aftermarket support that I need to accomplish a goal. And this is, for me, it is a backup gun, ankle gun. I would choose something like this VP9 SK all day long if I had an ankle holster for it, but no one makes an ankle holster for the VP9 SK as of now, so we are currently stuck with the Glock 43. It is decent for how big it is, but this gun, like every other subcompact gun, especially when you get into the micro single stack guns, they're not as reliable, they're not as shootable, and they're not as efficient as your normal carry gun would be, which for me right now is a P10C. This gun has failed on me numerous times. I probably only have 500-ish rounds through this gun because this is a backup gun. I don't shoot it all the time. I don't enjoy shooting it. Micro guns, they're going to recoil more. They're generally going to be more uncomfortable in your hand. They're harder to reload. They're finicky, and that's just part of it. Out of the 500 rounds I have through this gun, it has failure to feed maybe 3 times, I think it was, 2 to 3 times, and then 1 time it was a failure to eject. So this gun is always cleaned and lubricated. I had another Glock 43, about the same thing happened with that. I sold it to a friend, and he has had a couple failure to feeds as well. It might be just the design. I mean, it's just small guns, man. They just don't run as well. You're sticking a strong bullet inside of a tiny little gun. It's going to recoil more. It's going to cause some more mechanical problems. So let me get into handling. Aside from them recoiling more, you don't have as much control because you don't have as much grip space on these. The sight radius is much smaller, so that's not good. So now while you have more recoil, like I just said, less control, when I hold this gun, I'm all the way up on it. Even then, part of my hand is hanging off the bottom, and that's with the pinky extension. Even with the pinky extension, my pinky still hangs off the bottom of this gun. You don't want part of your hand hanging off the bottom of a gun. Like I said, you want the most control over your firearm at all times. If there's a tool in the world that you want the most control out of, it's your firearm. Not only is it better for you because you can be more accurate and more efficient with that gun, but it's safer because the gun's not going to do anything you don't want it to do as easily if you have more control over it. Like drop it or something, you don't want your gun falling. Whether somebody else picks it up or you have a p320 and it shoots somebody on its own. So you want control over your firearm at all times. Now, with these super tiny micro guns, single stack, my hand goes all the way around, my fingers wrap all the way around the grip, they're hanging off it even with the pinky extension, and I come over the top and the gun disappears. So I mean, I'm really maximizing what this gun can do with how big my hands are. But this hand is mostly on top of this hand because my hands are now fighting for space on the gun because the gun is so small. Recurring theme here. Now, I want to reload this gun. Let's say I'm shooting, I'm just practicing, or let's say, better yet, I'm in a gunfight, and which you don't want with one of these, but I'm in a gunfight, I need to reload. So, proper reload, I'm going to pull here, go here, but now I need to move this hand and my palm out of the way. If I don't do that, I'm going to hit this button and nothing's going to happen. That's even with that's just my palm over on the back touching it. Nothing's going to happen. I can't get this out, and I even have rounds in it. So it's heavier than it would be without rounds in it, and I still can't get it out. I need to like completely move my hand out of the way. Now I can get the magazine out, and boom. So now I need to reload. I can't hold the gun normally. I just took the magazine out, magazine fell free. I need to hold the gun like this to reload this gun. Look at how ridiculous this is. This is how I have to reload a Glock 43 with my hand size. I have one finger off the trigger, up on the frame, because that's where your finger's supposed to be when you're not ready to fire. I have 2 fingers that need to get out of the way. I can't hold it like that because this finger's now in the way from me reloading the gun. I just pinched myself there, and I pinched myself again, and now my finger is in between right there, and I can't reload. So I have to hold 2 fingers out of the way. I now have 2 fingers holding on to this gun. This is absurd. No one can possibly argue that this is a good gun to fight with. It's awful. This is just absurd. So when you do carry a gun like this, boom. Now I can reload. I need to get my palm out of the way, 2 fingers out of the way, hold it with just 2 fingers wrapping completely around the gun. This is absurd, but whatever. Now I can reload, now I can go back to having a regular grip. Something like this is slightly better. This still, my pinky's hanging off, so I'm going to take this magazine out. This is how I would carry this gun, is with at least the pinky extension. Preferably it would be one with that adds rounds, because this is just kind of wasted space. This pinky extension probably could allow for at least 1 more round. But this gun, it's slightly bigger, not too noticeably, but slightly bigger. It's slightly wider, so I actually can have some of this finger controlling when I pop the mag out. Because when I go back in, this finger isn't in the way. It has this nice curl right here, and the bottom of the grip actually extends past where the magazine goes in. So I could actually hold it like that and just kind of get my hand out of the way there, and I can still go in. So that makes it a little bit better, but it's still, because when you pull your pinky up, it's still going to pull this finger a little bit. It's just the biomechanicals of your hand. But the fact that this guards the magazine well, this guards the magazine well, and the magazine, even the small one, goes inside of that. So with something like the VP9 SK, you have a little bit of magazine well guard. And that's important when it comes to reloading and minimizing how bad these micro guns are to manipulate when you need to. So now when you get into shooting, I'm going to pop the pinky extension in because I would never carry it with the other one. You have the pinky extension in. Now I have a full grip. This is like an actually full grip. It actually feels like a full-size gun. Now I have more room for my other hand. I'm coming up, I'm still covering a lot of this gun, and obviously it's still going to recoil more. It's still rounds limited compared to a full-size gun. And but out of like all the subcompacts I've ever shot, Glock 26, Shield, 43, like Bodyguard, I mean all those little guns, this one handles the most like a full-size gun. This gun is really, really nice for a subcompact gun. So why would you want a subcompact gun? You have less control, you have a smaller sight radius, you have generally a more finicky gun, even though this one has never failed on me. My Glock 43 has, but this never has. And when I say the Glock 43 has failed, I mean it's probably like a 0.5% failure rate, maybe a little bit less. But that's saying something compared to a gun like this or all of my carry guns, which have never failed with thousands of rounds through them. So, yeah, so like why would you want to carry a gun like this? Well, when you do carry a gun like this, you need a pinky extension because you do need a full grip on the gun. You don't ever want to shoot a gun with your pinky hanging off the bottom. That's unacceptable in my opinion. You need control over the firearm. You're probably preparing for a best case scenario if you carry a gun like this, especially a Glock 43. I mean, like I think I said this earlier, but this is an ankle gun for me. It's a backup gun in case I ever had a really bad malfunction with my main firearm, in case I ever lost it, either it fell or it got thrown somewhere in a fight, something like that, or better, if I'm someplace with, say, my girlfriend who isn't carrying a gun, or one of my friends, and there was ever a shooter-involved situation where I had a moment, I could arm them and keep them safe or allow them to help me keep other people safe. That is probably the best reason for a backup gun, is to arm somebody else with it in case you have time. But that's a whole nother video why you might want a backup gun. But that's what this is for me. It's a backup gun, ankle backup gun. It fits like all the requirements needed for it to be that tool, size and ankle holster compatibility and support for it. I mean, yeah, you could be an ankle gun for you if you wear a suit all the time and you don't feel like you can have one on your belt. Or maybe you're like me and you go to the gym a lot. I am 6'3", 200 pounds, I bodybuild for fun, and I carry this all the time. It is always on my ankle. I run miles with it. I do leg lifts with it. You name it, like anything in the gym is done with this on my ankle. I'm in sweatpants, so I can't carry on my waist all the time. So that's what niche this fits for me. And it could fit that for you. If you do want to carry this on your belt, you are overly concerned about concealing the gun. You're also voluntarily limiting yourself on what threats that you can properly address and save yourself from. You do not want to get into a gunfight with this gun. You probably do not want to have to reload this gun, as I've already shown. Can you get better than the slightly exaggerated reload that I'm showing you before? Yeah, you could probably get a little bit better, especially if your hands are smaller. You could get decent at it. So with a lot of practice with a gun like this, you can get okay at manipulating the firearm. Something like the p365 is even worse. That gun, you can't even have a proper grip on it. You have to adjust your grip or your thumbs are going to ride against the slide and cause it to malfunction. So that's like the super extreme. But even something like this, you do have to make sure your thumbs don't cause a malfunction. I mean, even perhaps that could have happened to me with some of my failures to feed or something like that. It's all part of these guns being finicky. But you will, no matter how much you practice with this gun, no matter how good you get with a micro gun, you will never be as good as you would have been if you put that time into a larger, more fighting pistol oriented designed gun. Now let me bring in something like this. This is a CZ P10C. This is my everyday carry. This gun is absolutely amazing. When I hold it, all of my fingers fit on the grip. When I depress the magazine, I can reload it with a full grip on the gun, no problem. That is what you want. You want to be able to reload the gun. In my carry philosophies, I want to be prepared for an active shooter. I want to be prepared to defend myself against a more formidable adversary and threat to myself and those around me. You might notice this gun has had some work to it. I will do a video on this gun. I absolutely love it, and the work I got done to it was fantastic. You will notice that there are no backup sights currently on the gun, and I am perfectly fine with that. I have a RM06. I am not worried about this gun failing whatsoever, including the sight on it. So I do think it is an acceptable risk to not have backup sights on it this second. Eventually I'm going to have them made. That's what I'm waiting for. My gunsmith is going to make me flip up backup irons so that I get a nice, perfect, clear sight picture through my RMR, and I thoroughly enjoy that, and it's not very hard for him to make flip up backup irons. In fact, I think Silencer Co. is making them as well. So something like this, absolutely fantastic. I've never had a problem concealing this gun in a tier 1 concealment, like sidecar style holster. I have also carried a P30 many times for about a year. I've had the VP9. I carried that for like 2 years. This is slightly bigger than the P10C. Never had a problem concealing that. And even better, I carried this for an extremely long time, 2 to 3 years. Did not have the HLG on it. It had a it had the XC1 at one point. It didn't have anything on it at first. Then it had like the XC1, and then it had the Enforce APLC. Never had a problem concealing this either. Although there's a caveat, when I did carry this gun, I generally had to wear one size shirt larger than normal. And when I say that, I mean that I'm a bodybuilder, so generally I'm an extra medium, and I had to put like maybe a large shirt on instead of an extra medium. If you go to Target and look up the coolest Jurassic Park, Star Wars, or Mario Brothers t-shirts they have, and grab a medium, that is probably what I normally wear and normally conceal something like this in. So I don't know what you guys are wearing where you guys feel like you cannot conceal a gun like a P10C and you need to carry something that this ridiculously small, or like a p365 or something like that. I don't know. But if you do, now you know why these guns suck. And now you know why you might want to carry one or you might not want to carry one. And why you might want to start adjusting your wardrobe and stop wearing spandex and start carrying something like a Glock 19, MMP 2.0 compact, CZP-10C, BP9, something like that. Something that you can actually have a better chance of having a wider variety of threats that you can address. So I mean, we're already planning on something very rare happening. We might as well go the extra mile and be prepared for most things that could happen, especially in today's day and age. So that is why microguns suck. That is why you guys need to get off the nuts of the P365, the Glock 43, and everything else that's a single stack crap box over here, backup gun for girls. Alright, see you guys.